But before we head out, I want y'all to consider this. These politicians in the US have been counting their shekels, so busy counting their shekels. They got a lot of them, right? AIPAC pays a lot of money for them to look the other way, for them to lie, and even have convinced them that everything that they're doing is in America's interest. And America has convinced itself oftentimes that Israel is actually doing our bidding rather than the other way around. But they have never once stopped to consider that the greatest threat to the greater Israel project is actually the United States. And it's not probable, it is likely Israel is already aware of that. And they've always been aware of that. Think about it. Now, Israel has to get its money from us, some of it from other Western nations, but most of it from us, weapons from us. But on the flip side, like Ted Cruz explained, yeah, they spy on us. He was so casual about making an announcement that the US government is actually fully aware that Israel is spying on the president. Understand, the US pays for that technology. But he casually, yeah, we know Israel's spying on us. Why would you spy on your ally unless you consider them a threat? Why would you need to blackmail allies that oftentimes already agree with you? You paid them through AIPAC or through other, if you're on the private side, you've paid them through other industries. You've already paid them off. You've done everything but you got to blackmail them with Epstein too. Think about that. You have a secret agent or a CIA agent that is solely dedicated to being a liaison to Israel who does not have to report back to the United States about the black ops that Israel conducts, even if that black op means they've killed Americans. Israel has already shown a propensity and a willingness to kill Americans, commit false flags, as long as it serves their agenda. And for Israel believes in supremacy, ladies and gentlemen. They do not believe Christians, even Christian Zionists, are at the same level of them, are as worthy as them, or as deserving, or as entitled as them. So, we are at a pivotal moment in history where Israel could have the United States and Iran destroy each other, not like literally, but like in the same way that Britain never recovered from World War I nor World War II. They had to release all their colonies. The way that they do business now has to run through the US, kind of, right? EU had to link up. They had to be reliant on each other, where any agreement, any institution, any international organization that's created, the US helped to create, and in actuality is running that institution, right? It's different. Israel, to some degree, has to answer to the US because of the money they need from them. But the greater Israel project and the expansion of their borders, their nations, their economy, do you think that they want the United States to be the ultimate decider in how far the greater Israel project is allowed to go? Think about that. And think about the fact that US politicians haven't even pondered the idea, considered the notion that they are setting up the US to lose. Because even if we win, we lose. the economy doesn't work like it used to, guys. You don't go to war and make money. There are some people that go to war and make money, like the industry itself, like literally the weapons manufacturing industries that are owned by Zionists. Think about it. Anyone who wins, quote unquote, in this war economically, these motherfuckers are dual citizens with Israel. The moment the Greater Israel Project begins to take shape, like we were like when we start, guess where they can go to and take advantage of? I got dual citizenship. Peace. Because they always knew what the plans were. Think about it. And these Christian Zionists think that they're going to, these Christian Zionists in government, in media, they think that they're going to be welcomed in the same way that they have welcomed Israelis and Jewish Zionists into the, no, y'all, that is an exclusive club. They might let y'all into the main club on the dance floor, but y'all not invited to the VIP section. Y'all not sitting in the booth popping bottles with them. Y'all are not the same. They know it. Y'all just too fucking stupid to know. The United States did not let any country stand in the way of manifest destiny. Think about that. Think about everybody we played in the process on the way to achieving manifest destiny. Think about that. Everybody we played, y'all. We played a bunch of people. Our allies. And as Great Britain was having to they had to drop India, drop, a bunch of countries. They had to drop China. They had to drop Hong Kong. Right? Like, and we was like, yep, another one. Oop, another one. France had to drop a bunch of countries. Oop, another one. Another one. Y'all not going to help us for real? Nope. How are we going to control them if y'all control them? Think about everybody we screwed over to become the United States of America that we know today. And that was when the United States was like really good at pretending as if they were the good guys, right? That was like, we were at least pretending. We could get some false justification behind the war and the majority of the world would agree. And like, we would say it's in our best interest, And hell, the allies would even kind of like be on our side. They're like, yeah, they were cheering on. And we even have an amicable relationship with these countries still. But that is contingent on what? As long as they do what the hell we say. As long as they play ball by our rules. Now, the US was not always the most powerful country in the world. Right? The point that set it off was definitely dropping those 2 atomic bombs, setting up Hitler, right? Because we funded that. We know. We funded Hitler. We funded the Nazism. We allowed it to happen. We basically cheered for it. There was a committee that sat down in the room and said, yeah, we know Hitler's committing a Holocaust, but let's say we let him hold the Olympics in Berlin. Can't be anything wrong with that. The US waited years before joining World War II to make sure that the damage was done to Europe while making money off of the motherfuckers. We know that was partially about letting Russia and Germany take each other out too, because that was largely the goal in World War I. And then we know that was their goal because of what subsequently took place. They immediately went after Russia. But those 2 bombs, the 2 bombs combined with the fact that they let all of their biggest competition, all of them, beat the hell out of each other And the U.S. just sat back and kind of watched. And came out on top. And when they were fighting big wars, Western Europe, Russia, etc., when they were fighting the big wars, the U.S., after the fact, while everybody else is kind of hindered and hampered and limping, they started fighting the little wars and the wars from the shadows and taking power using both hard military power and soft economic power. And before you know it, we have military bases all over the world. Like, at the end of the day, we could call the UK our allies. We could call France our allies. We could call Poland. We could call all these countries our allies. But like, we screwed them, and it was on purpose so that we could be the supreme power of the world. So within that context, what do y'all think Israel's doing right now? What do y'all think Israel's probably doing? Is that not the logical conclusion? If Iran, if we drag the United States into this war, and Iran and the U.S. basically bust each other's ass because the U.S. economy overall is not going to benefit or gain. They close that straight. These prices are about to get crazy. Not just for gas, supply chain prices are about to go nuts. It's not going to be because Iran bombed the U.S. to death that the U.S. loses its status. It's going to be because they rot from the inside from a crippled economy, from a war that they didn't need to fight. They just saw it happen. They just saw it happen with Iraq and Afghanistan. They're like, oh, and they never really recovered from that shit. Oh, they just need one more little push. It's just AIPAC gonna pay how much we need to pay, make it happen. We got the Epstein tapes. Why would you have all this this type of blackmail on your friends, your allies, my guy, unless you plan on using it against them? When the moment called for it. Why would you escalate in a situation where you know it's going to be against the interests of the Americans that are helping you? Why would you commit this genocide knowing that anyone who supports the genocide, by the way, is going to come out? I mean, there's no recovery from it. Like, we all know there's no recovery from this genocide. Like, if you support it, your name is inked. It's stamped. That will be your legacy for the rest of your life. The politicians that are, if they're young and they support it, their careers, they will have no leverage. No one will trust them ever again. The older ones, they're on the way out. Anyone who runs for president at this point, either major party, is a genocide apologist, a genocide enabler. And everybody knows it. Based off of all the candidates we have so far, they're just a bunch. So there's no confidence. There will be no mandate. The country will rot from the inside because of their loyalty to Israel and how everybody watched it happen in real time. And who benefits from that? Because I just told y'all they bombed Lebanon. Why are they bombing Lebanon in the middle of a war with Iran? Because we're wearing them down too. Because we need Lebanon, greater Israel. Syria was overthrown. Dictator in power who literally will not touch Israel even after they invaded their country. Assad gets overthrown. They invade the country. He's like, yeah, Israel, come on in, man. We cool, bro. I ain't gonna hold that against you. You can attack. You can launch rockets at Iran from here, or defend yourself from Iran in Syrian airspace for sure. Yeah. So that's another country. So they got Syria. Syria's part of that. That's it. Y'all know that. That's greater Israel now. Gaza is on the way to being part of that greater Israel. Lebanon, they're wearing them down slowly but surely. The UAE and Saudi Arabia, they're bitches, and they're just hoping that they can avoid, like, oh, we're under the protection of the US, so we're good. No, you're not. Iraq depends on how the situation with Iran goes. Egypt is falling in line. They're doing whatever the U.S. tells them to, but that's only as long as the U.S. has the money to continue funding them to do what they tell them to. Think about it. That's the only reason they do anything for us. It's straight money. But whenever Israel gets the ability, because they control so much of the territory in the region, to fund Egypt instead of the U.S., who will Egypt begin to answer to? It ain't nothing but a hop, skip, and a jump to overthrow their leader if Israel has to. And as they begin to expand, Zionists will begin to move into these areas. And before you know it, Greater Israel, at the expense of the last great challenge, the last great threat to the Greater Israel Project, which would be the United States of America. Think about it. Oh, and don't forget Jordan. I'm glad you brought that up. Jordan might, they ain't that far behind from being next on the list. You were absolutely right. Absolutely right. Jordan, what, 93% Palestinian? You think Israel's about to let that shit slide? Especially because Jordan is not, they are non-aggressive towards Israel, but that's at the behest of the United States. You might see a mass exodus of Jordan here shortly. I'll give about 10 years if everything plays out how things are going to play out. Let me get to these super chats. Oh, Landry, thank you very, very much for that super chat. Now that the Antichrist has come, genocide done, all we need is the Jewish population to accept Christ into their hearts so we can go to the clouds, low Earth orbit, or a galaxy far, far away, free Palestine. Yeah, man, I see the problem with that. I don't think they what I heard, they're not really fans of Jesus. Muslims get along with Jesus far more than Jewish people. Good God. I'd be seeing some shit on Twitter about how they feel about Jesus, and I'm just like, bro. Because I consider Jesus to be like a philosopher, like a philosophical figure. Like, I actually probably not necessarily in the minority of leftists, but I believe that Jesus actually was a real figure, a real person. You know, whether or not he did the miracles that he claimed they did, that's a different conversation. It could be like a mixture of science, how it's perceived, sometimes exaggerating the story to sell the figure of Jesus as a religious authority. Cool, whatever. But I believe that like Jesus was Jesus, and he traveled because like there's so many accounts of his travels from Middle East, Southeast Asia, even East Asia. But like the fact that they hate this man so much, and it's like, to me, the despise that they have, the disdain that they have for Jesus is representative of their supremacy, right? Especially Israel, Israeli Zionists, because what was, like, when we really boil it down, what was Jesus killed for? Because he challenged this idea of supremacy. And it was their supremacy. He was a race traitor, if you will. To them, he was a race traitor in all respects. And he was probably even considered a class traitor. They were like, yeah, we the king. You ain't my king, motherfucker. But we don't like them. They're not Jewish. I don't care. They're humans. We love war. Well, I hate that shit, and I ain't cool with it. We don't like poor people, and I don't care. We love everybody. We treat everybody with respect. Like, it's Christ returns. Christ returns when the Jewish population accepts Christ. Damn, I thought that was funny. Hey man, who knows? Who knows? But I will say, I know it's meant to be funny, but there could be some truth to that, given how many Jews have literally rejected Zionism in the last couple of years. They're like, whoa, I did not sign up for this shit whenever I had my bar mitzvah. We did not have that discussion. I didn't sign up to be a genocide. I didn't sign up to be a genocide apologist. I did not know that that's what y'all was about. I'm going to go ahead and bow out. But on real tip, like that's like, Jesus has an anti-supremacist archetype that Zionists despise because of their inherent supremacist principles and values. I mean, these are the people that spit on anybody who isn't Jewish. And they're like, yep, we're allowed to.